Hi friends, this is Mr. Azia. Welcomes you to Jai Gurudev English Literature. And in today's video, we are going to talk about the last lecture of the British history of English literature, that is postmodern age. Before it, we have just covered our all the ages of the British history of English literature, and just before it, we have just covered our modern age. So, here we are going to talk about our next age, that is postmodern age. And as you're able to see here, the postmodern age timetable is from 1945 to 2000. Actually, if you see in the modern age, I had spoken you that the period was there from 1901 to 1952. Actually, I just want to tell this is the reference of the books and the date of the periods that is not rigid, that is not fixed. Different historians are there were there and they have given their different views, so you will be able to find out the different dates of the time period, so there is no issue with that. This is not rigid, this is not fixed. So actually the postmodern age that is considered from just after the Second World War, and the Second World War was in 1945 the last. So from 39 to 1939 to 1945 the World War Second was there, and just after Second World War it is considered the postmodern age. So let's have a look of postmodern age. As I told you, the time period 1945 to 2000. So here we will be discussing about, first of all, historical background, literary features and literary moments, as well as the major writers and their major works. I would like to tell you that major writers and their works, a separate video after making this lecture. In the next video, in the next lecture, I'll make the major writers and their major works. So if you haven't subscribed till now my channel, then do subscribe so that you never miss an update, and share with your friends. Now we'll be talking about historical background of postmodern age. So in postmodern age, what was there? That historical background, USA became the superpower. USA became the superpower. The Britain economic that was very back, that was very less, and that is why USA became the superpower of the world. In postmodern age, what happens between all the countries, among the countries, between two countries, Russia and America, there started the Cold War between the countries. And this was the war, the global conflict, nuclear destruction and genocide. Actually, after Second World War, the countries like Rus, like America, they wanted to prove themselves that I am the most powerful, and just because of it they had a Cold War between the countries. And at this time, if we talk about, multiple meanings were there were multiple meanings of any literary work. There can be endless interpretations of a literary work. Example is there. For example, author has written a work. After writing the author, when the readers read it, he has a different meaning according to the reader's point of view. Author has written from his point of view, but the readers is reading according to his point of view. So different readers are there, different points of views are there. So literary work had a number of meanings, multiple meanings were there of a work. As well as here there is a post-colonialism. It is mistyped poet, but it is post-colonialism. There was a post-colonialism. What was the post-colonialism? So before talking about post-colonialism, I just want to say you some more things that technology advancement and a space exploration was there in postmodern age, as well as people accepted the fragmented and disoriented world. In this postmodern age, people just understood that this is all about the part and parcel of the life. We have to accept it. Whatever is going on in the society, that is the reality of the society. We have to accept it. And the people accepted the fragmented and disoriented world. Disoriented, not oriented. This is disoriented and fragmented world. People accepted it. Okay. So as I told you, that post-colonialism, this was the study of culture legacy of colonialism. It focuses the on the consequence of the control and exploitation of colonized people and their lands. So what happened, the Britain had colonized many nations, and this was a study post colonialism. This was a study of that colony, that nation, which was the colony of Britain. And this was the study of that colonies, and of the people of that place, of that lane, that what kind of people were there, what kind of land was there. Okay, so this was the study of that colony, that is called post colonialism. So I had told you also that Britain had more than 50 colonies. Okay, so moving to the next, our next point is here, that we are going to talk now about the literary features of this time. So if we talk about the literary features of this time, then we have some important information about it. About this is that this is theater act theater act of 1968 came. It abolished the censorship of the stage in Britain. So Theatre Act came in 1968, which abolished censorship of the stage in the Britain. As well as in this age, we have the next number, that is theatre of the absurd. Theatre of the absurd is very important in this age. Theatre of the absurd, literary movement in Britain, pioneered by Samuel Beckett and Harold Pinter. So Samuel Beckett and Harold Pinter, they are considered as the pioneer of theatre of the absurd. So what is the theatre or theatre of the absurd? These playwrights followed the theory that Albert Camus gave in his work The Myth of Sisyphus. What was there? Albert Camus was there, a writer, and he has given a work that's name is there, The Myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus was a man whose work was there, that a rolling a stone was there. He was just carrying that stone on the mountain, and once again the stone used to come down, and once again he used to carry on the mountain. Once again it used to come down. That was a punishment given to Sisyphus. So Sisyphus was doing this, and there was no meaning of it. There was no meaning of it. One stone he is bringing again and again the mountain. Once again a stone is falling down. Once again he is going. Once again he is coming. So without any reason, without any logic, he was doing that work, and this is called the myth of Sisyphus, which was followed by Samuel Beckett, Harold Pinter, and so many writers of theatre of the absurd. Okay, actually here in this postmodern age, the common people struggle to understand the world is similar to that Sisyphus. Actually, the common people also understood that as Sisyphus is doing without any reason, and he keeps on doing, वो करते जा रहा है without any reason. And similarly, the people also accepted that this is only the part and parcel of the life. In the theater of absurd, plays, actions of the character are not logical. As I told you that in the theater of absurd, the logic is not there. Plays, actions, character are not logical. Logic is not there. Time and space are not clear. Time and space are not clear in this absurd of theater. Ending is often not conclusive. You cannot understand that what is going on, what is happening completely. You will feel bored there, that what is happening you will not be able to understand. That is called that ending is often not conclusive. You will not understand that what happened at the last. And as well as the long pauses amid dialogues. When the dialogues are there, at that time long pause is there. Long pause will be taken in this absurd theater. So this is all about the theater of the absurd. Now we will talk about our next feature of literary, that is angry young man theater. Angry young man theater. This was a literary moment in Britain of World War II. It was a revolt against social inequality. Against social inequality, there was a movement, and this is known as Angry Young Theatre. If we talk about Angry Young Theatre, you might have read the work of John Osborne. The work was Look Back in Anger. In the last video also I told you that John Osborne has written Look Back in Anger, and this is the good example of Angry Young Man theater. The next we have confessional poetry. So what is confessional poetry? It is a literary movement that emerged in America during 1950 to 1960. The poems are personal confessions of the poet. The themes of confessional poetries were divorce, sexual abuse, depression, death. These were the themes. The great writers of confessional poetries are Sylvia Plath, Robert Lowell, Anne Sexton. These were the great writers of confessional poetry. Now we will talk about the next feature, and that is pastiche. What was the pastiche? This was the combination of multiple genres to create a unique narrative. When multiple genres were combined to create a unique narrative, that is called pastiche. And here we have the example of William S. Burroughs. William S. Burroughs combined science fiction with detective fiction, and this is called pastiche. Now we will have a look at our next feature, and that will be intertextuality. Intertextuality, this is interconnection between similar or related literary works. So what is the intertextuality? This is interconnection between similar or related literary works. Here we have a great example of this intertextuality, that is John Rice. John Rice wrote Wide Sargasso Sea. Jean Rice wrote Wide Sargasso Sea. This was a prequel to Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre. I have taught you this one, Charlotte Bronte in the Victorian age, and Jean Rice has written a work White Sargasso Sea, and this was the prequel of Jane Eyre. And if we talk about intertextuality, the term has been coined by Julia Kristeva. Next we have metafiction. So, what is metafiction? Metafiction, art of writing about writing, art of writing about writing, how to write. The author reminds readers that they are reading a fictional work. So, metafiction here, art of writing is there about writing. Authors always remind that readers they are reading a fictional work. And here we have the example of Jude Hughes wrote the poem The Thought Fox. Important poem, The Thought Fox, which is about the process of writing poetry. This was the work in the metafiction of Ted Hughes. The next we have that is temporal distortion. Temporal distortion. What is this? Narrative with a non-linear timeline. Narrative with a non-linear timeline. The story does not follow chronological order. When the story is given, so there is no timetable, there is no system. Sometime here, sometime there. You will be confused that what is happening in the story. So when there is a narrative with non-linear time, no system, no rule, does not follow chronological order, this is called temporal distortion. And a very great work is there of the example of temporal distortion, that is Case 22. Case 22 by Joseph Heller. Okay, the next we are going to talk about now about magic realism. Yes, everyone, our next feature is magic realism. And what is the magic realism? It's a very interesting, it's a type of a fiction, that shows a realistic view of the modern world while also adding magical elements. So when it talks about reality of the world as well as adding magical elements, this is called magic realism. This is called magic realism, and we can find it out in the work of Salman Rushdie, The Midnight Children. Midnight Children by Salman Rushdie, we can find it out. As well as we can find out in 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. In the work of Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude. The next and the last feature of literary is fiction. What is fiction? Fiction is the combination of fact and fiction. It's a type of historical novel that shows actual events and historical figures woven with fictional events. So when we talk about the fact and fiction, this is all about the fiction. So this is all about our today's lecture, and if you found the lecture helpful, then do like, share, subscribe and share with your friends, those who are in the need of this video, those who will be helped by it. So that's it for today.